Okay, welcome to this tutorial about the Z1 dashboard software. Today we're going to talk about the Z1 server. So while the dashboard can run on the same machine as your simulator, which works very well if you have a fourth monitor or a USB screen or one of our LCD screens, there are times when you may want to run it on a different computer. So if you have a laptop or a tablet or any other computer that's running a Windows operating system, you can run the Z1 dashboard on that and have it connect through your network to the Z1 server, which is running on your sim machine. So this is very easy to set up. And for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to run the server and the dashboard on the same computer so that you can see the video of them at the same time. So the first thing I would do on the simulator computer after I've installed the Z1 server is I launch it, and the interface is quite simple. It tells you whether or not you're connected to the sim. In this case, I'm not. Whether you're connected to a client, which would be your dashboard on the other computer, and whether or not any data is being transmitted. Then we have the IP address of the server and the port number of the server. So if I launch the dashboard, right now it says it's waiting for the sim. So what I need to do first is go to the settings by clicking on that icon, and then go to the network tab. So here I have Z1 server IP and Z1 server port. These numbers need to be set to whatever your Z1 server is telling you over here. So in this case, I need to change this to 172.16.0.15. And the port number of 20900 is the same, so I'm all set there. There are a couple options here. Obviously, you want to check for the Z1 server. If you were never going to use it, you could uncheck this, but since this example is about the Z1 server, that should stay checked. Display latency bar. In the dashboard, if you're connected to the Z1 server, at the bottom right, you can have it display a bar to tell you the quality of your connection. And it's quite good to have this on. And if it is running, you want it to be a small green bar. If it starts getting larger and turning orange or red, then you know there is something in your connection, such as packet loss or slow connection, which is going to give you lag or drop data. So now I've set my IP address on my port. I click OK. And now you can see the dashboard has changed to say it's connected to the server. And if we look on the server here, it says it's connected to the client and it is transmitting data. And if I started the sim, this would change to yes, and you would see the standard screen here with whatever the sim was you were connected to and your driver name, etc. Now, with the Z1 server running, one thing which is necessary is how do you transmit button presses on either a button box or a wheel from your sim machine to the dashboard. So this is done through the Z1 server. If you click on this little gear icon, there are two tabs, buttons 1 and buttons 2. You can assign any of these buttons you want to any controller that you have connected to your sim machine, and the Z1 server, when you press that button, will forward the button press over to the dashboard, and the dashboard will take the appropriate action, whether that's doing a next screen or a last screen or whichever option you have selected. Just make sure that you've enabled the buttons to yes, and that you've defined them. And now one thing that you might want to set to yes here is this check device. If you have two button boxes which are identical, you would set this to yes, because that will allow the server to differentiate between the two. If you're not using that setup, then you can leave this as no, and you'll be okay. Now pause after and pause between are also important. This is pause after is the number of milliseconds that the server will wait after it detects a button pause before checking for another one. And the pause between is the number of milliseconds it will wait between checking for each button press. So you want to adjust these to suit your buttons. If you have rotary dials or wheels or anything like that, playing with these can help get the desired effects. The defaults of 250 and 16 are pretty good for most purposes, so if you're not noticing any issues, you can just leave those as they are. And then click OK, and you're all set to go. So because you are connecting across your network from one computer to another, you do need to make sure that your network allows such a connection and that you're not going to be blocked by a firewall or an antivirus program or anything like that. So if you've entered this IP address properly and this port number properly, but your dashboard is still not connecting to your server, the first place to check is your antivirus program and your Windows firewall to make sure that they're not blocking ports. By default, they don't, but sometimes there are strict antivirus programs which do stop you from connecting through IP addresses. If so, we suggest turning off the antivirus to check to see if that's the case. And if it is, then determining how you can allow your antivirus program to give one port access across the IP address. And if you have a firewall, you might need to add a rule to that firewall stating that the dashboard can connect to the server across a particular IP address and port number.